In this chapter you will learn about CarMaker FMU plugins. The functional mockup interface FMI offers the possibility to export models by different software modeling tools in a standardized form. Such models are called functional mockup units, FMUs. Therefore, models can be integrated in CarMaker by making use of the FMI standard. While integrating models that meet the FMI standard, very fast and easy integration can be considered as major advantages to the user. A drawback is the necessity of the present model as FMU. CarMaker supports FMI for co-simulation, whereby discrete communication points are used for exchange. Subsystem equations are solved independently by the FMU, and the master algorithm controls data exchange and synchronization. In this example, CarMaker represents a program as master and the FMU represents the library as slave containing model and solver. Right now there's no FMU available in the current project directory. We can either import a single FMU from a known source or use the automatic update mechanism for the project in order to copy all FMUs of the product examples from the installation directory to the current project folder. Let's focus on the content of the example MyBrake FMU. Generally, it can be shared between different parties by only one file. FMU is a compressed format, and once the FMU is imported to the CarMaker project directory, the content gets unzipped and a new folder with the respective name is created under plugins automatically. Under binaries, there are subfolders for all available target architectures of the FMU. For example, Windows 64-bit, Linux 64, as well as binaries for real-time systems like XPAC4 or DSpace. In case of Windows 64, the subfolder contains the dynamic link library DLL, whereas the one for Linux 64 is a shared object library SO. Besides the binaries, a model description XML file comes with every FMU. This file contains important information for the user, such as general information like the FMU name and the version, and usage information like the type, as well as possible multi-instance usage information, and about the model variables, as well as FMU in and outputs, together with parameters and their units. With the basic knowledge about the content of the FMU, the question now arises how to integrate an FMU into CarMaker. Now let's focus on the FMU dialog, which can be accessed via the CarMaker main GUI under Application, FMU Plugins. In the central area, the existing FMUs of the CarMaker project are listed. The FMU models currently displayed are those provided by CarMaker as examples. Remember, we have copied them before from the installation directory to our project folder. If you want to open an FMU from another source, use the import button and browse through your file system. In case of the example models, the input and output signals of the FMU are connected to the signals of the CarMaker environment already. If you implement your own FMU, it is recommended to connect the FMU signals to the matching interface variables of CarMaker. Let's have a look at the input signals between the brake FMU and CarMaker. The pedal position of CarMaker serves as input to the FMU, whereas the results of the FMU are directly written to the interface variables of CarMaker. In this case, these are the torque values for the wheel brake on each wheel, front left, front right, rear left, and rear right. If we clear the connection of the FMU input for demonstration purpose, we will see that the FMU loses its property of being ready for simulation in the first instance. A warning message in red color will appear in the left upper corner. Generally, we have different groups from which we can select variables to connect to FMU inputs and outputs. In case the FMU expects in and outputs which are not available in the related interface struct of the model class, general CarMaker quantities can be accessed via the group data dictionary quantities, as well as constant values or real-time expressions, which have to be entered in this field. Once the FMU inputs are connected to CarMaker variables again, the error message disappears and we can use the FMU in our next simulation. All changes in the GUI settings will be saved after the start of the simulation, the restart of the CarMaker executable, and in case for generic FMUs, after saving the vehicle info file. The settings of the FMU details tabs are stored in the so-called plug info file of the respective FMU. These plug info files can be copied and reused on other systems or shared between different users, and that makes it easier to set up an FMU very quickly by just loading the FMU configuration. Once the user has chosen the correct model class and connected the inputs and outputs of the FMU to the correct CarMaker interface variables, then the FMU will be in a state ready to simulate. It has to be activated for further usage. This is done in the vehicle dataset. Here the user has to navigate to the corresponding model domain. In this case, it's the braking system, and replace the model from before by my brake FMU, and it will get directly used in the next simulation run. Now the FMU is in the loop. We can find the same information in the FMU plugins dialog of the CarMaker GUI on the right side.